Hello and welcome back to my channel, or should I say, I am welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute since I've been on here. I was away, as you know, and I'm back now in full swing and ready to remind us all about the life's little moments that help us learn and grow. Today's reminder is about the stories we tell ourselves. And it's so important that we learn to tell stories to ourselves that are empowering, that are productive, that are helpful to our own well-being. I've talked about this quite a lot in terms of mental life is a mental game. And the minute you learn how to cultivate that is really your freedom moment. Because if you can win the game in your mind, you've literally won the game of life. Again, it is a journey that you keep taking. There's no once you're done, it's complete and now it's victorious. There will be challenges. But if you have the skill set, if you have the tools, and if you have the pointers to help you get over it, then it's a lot easier, or maneuver it rather. It's a lot easier. So the stories we tell can be empowering or disempowering. And some of the stories I used to tell myself is stories like, I am not good enough. And what that usually meant is that I always felt inferior. I always felt like I couldn't handle things. I always felt that there was somebody better than me. And so what was the point trying? And I always defaulted and deferred back to people who I thought were capable of doing. And again, it's perception, isn't it? Because they may not necessarily, and for the most part, they weren't necessarily good at what they were doing. They just looked like they were good at something. Or maybe it was rather that I felt I was not good enough. And therefore, it permeated every area of my being. How I carried myself, how I spoke about myself, to myself and to others, but also how I did things. You know, have you ever worked with somebody who's so unsure about themselves? You kind of can tell because of how they are tentative in their approach, how they don't seem to want to do anything or feel like they have the courage to do something, how they're always asking questions consistently. And asking questions is a good thing. I think it's a very empowering thing. But if you keep asking the same question over and over again, I think it begs as to how you learn. And so ask questions, but learn quickly too. And so those were some of the traits that I know that people have when they don't trust themselves. They don't, like me, never used to be able to speak a lot. I know that sounds really far-fetched probably right now, but honestly, I used to be a very, very quiet and timid person. But that all went out the window when I slowly found myself. I don't think it's changed much. I'm not the loudest person in the room, but I am definitely confident in my approach with things and how I see myself. And some of your challenges might be that you grew up, for example, in a home that never valued who you were, and therefore you don't see value in yourself. You always see other people better than you, or you always feel inferior in front of other people. Trust me, you're not. And that's kind of the story that can play with your mind so much that it damages every area of your being. It damages how much you're able to learn, because if you're feeling inferior, you're not going to go for a managerial job. You're not going to go to an entrepreneurship role. You're not going to go for a PhD program, because if you feel like you can't do it, then you will never think you're good enough to get into something. So change that. The other thing might be that the story you might be telling yourself is, I'm not a good public speaker. But you know what? The thing that makes people good at anything is trying and going for it and learning. Because if you want something, if you want to be a public speaker, if you want to be an eloquent speaker, if you want to be somebody who is training other people, you've got to be well versed in what you're doing. And that means putting in the hours that it requires for you to get better learning the language a little bit more, adding more vocabulary into your language so that you're able to articulate yourself a little bit better. So you have to be able to invest in your time and invest in yourself and make sure that you carve up that space for you to be able to learn and grow and become the thing that you want to. So it's really, really important, the stories that we tell ourselves, and it's imperative for you, number one, understand what that story is, and number two, work towards it, because it's not easy to identify it, but you can look at some areas. Journaling is a really powerful way, but also feedback from other people. Accept it, not in the sense of I accept what you think about me, but does it resonate with what I think about myself? Because if it does resonate, then you need to do something about it. And anything else, discard, because people will always look, again, the mental game is powerful because people will always look at taking you down mentally. And that's the most powerful place that they can do that. And you need to remain unshakable in that confidence. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. It's good to be back. So I'll be back here tomorrow with another nugget. And I hope you will be too. Have an incredible day, and I will speak to you very soon. Take good care.